Well, hello again and good afternoon. Welcome to the PCA Live 3 at 3 and our Thursday lineup today. I'm really excited about this conversation today because today we're got some three terrific retailers. And what we're really going to take a look at right now is with so many stores facing unsure futures about when we can open, how we can open, how many people can be in a shop or in a lounge, doing curbside, doing delivery, all that kind of stuff. I know that one of the main challenges that exists out there for a lot of retail shops is what do we do with our online presence? And so as part of that, what we want to talk about is we want to get three different perspectives from retailers at various levels of what they do with their websites. And then also our head of communications and marketing here, along with myself, we'll talk about some different tools that you can use and different tactics and how. And I want to stress and emphasize here that what we're looking at is not how do you build an online shipping store, because that's not what is going to be a solution, we think, for everybody. What we're really looking at here is how is it that you can take some good tools and easy tools nowadays to set up a good website and augment the shopping experience so that you can capture more revenue coming into your store, capture more customers, and be able to service these customers, especially in times like this where they don't have as much access to your store as they normally would have in the past. So on that note, it's my pleasure to welcome our panel today. We have the very well-known Mr. David Garofalo. We're very happy he's joining us. How you doing, Dave?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And we have Harris Saunders from Birmingham Cigars and More. How are you doing, Harris?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Harris. And we also have Alec Rubiera from Route 7 Cigars here in Virginia. How you doing, Alec?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Thanks for joining us. And last but not least, we have our very own PCA's head of marketing and communications, Aaron Holland. Aaron, how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Great. All right. So thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your afternoon to talk to us today. You heard a little bit about my preamble, and so sorry if I'm a little intimidated here, because I know, David, you are a pro. You've been doing the cigar media for a long time, so please don't hold me to the standards of the Cigar Authority or what you're used to. All right?
Okay.
I'm pirate radio right now, Dave. So, so on that note. I just want to talk about, you guys all have different and various levels of web presence that are out there. And right now, one of the things that we've noticed is that there's a lot of ingenuity going on with retailers about, doing whether it's Skype or FaceTime to walk people through humidors and other things. And so when we think about your website being an extension of your store and trying to help drive traffic into your store and help you sell more, what are some of the things that you've noticed that you've been able to do via your website or even just a total digital presence that's really been able to help you sustain or augment, especially now that you've had to have some limited closures and things like that, getting more traffic to your store, or kind of keeping that interaction with your customers to try to keeping a pipeline of customers and keeping a pipeline of sales going through. So I'll start that off with Harris. I know that you're revamping your website right now, but your approach to your website, talk a little bit about your approach to that website and how it augments your foot traffic and sales through your stores.
Thanks, Scott. I view the website as an extension of our physical brick and mortar stores. We want to have everything that is available in our stores on the website, so that our customers can see what's available. And, we really view it as, the place where all the information for events and other things going on with the store are available. We recently started a once a week live stream where people can, interact kind of like we're doing here and smoke with us and talk about, what we have available in the stores. And all that information is there and links to everything. And, I just view it as kind of the hub where everything is tied together. Our website is tied in with our POS system and with our email platform, our text platform, kind of all the marketing, so that it's just all in one spot together.
Perfect. Dave, same with you. And I've been on obviously both of your websites, and I was just telling Dave a little earlier that Joshua Habursky, when he was quarantined at his parents' house in Erie, Pennsylvania, and didn't have any access to stores for his cigars, he ordered from your shop and had such a great experience. He did it a few times. What's your philosophy and your approach, Dave, for the two guys there, in order for you to supplement what you do so well there at your store?
So the idea of our website, and we were early on in the early 90s, one of the first people to put a website together, And it was never to try to get somebody who didn't do business with us. The whole idea was always when a guy moved away, and we're here in the Northeast, and they're actually talking about snow tomorrow, if you can believe it, in May. Not that things aren't bad enough. It's going to snow tomorrow. And when somebody was moving away and moving to Florida, Arizona, this is where we all move. We get older and get smarter, and we say, let's get the hell out of here. And as they started moving down, I said, I cuddle my brick and mortar customers. I take care of them so much. I do everything I can for them. And unfortunately, every once in a while, somebody moves away. And the whole idea was, you're moving away, I want you to be part of Two Guys Smoke Shop. So, if we talk to any big online guy, he'd say we do everything wrong, that it's all about our little brands that we have. It's all about talking about events coming up in the store and the guy's far away. Why would you show pictures of what just happened before, during, and after of events and promotions and things like that? Why do we do that? Because we're playing a whole different game than the other guys that do it that way. I can't compete with them. There's no way I could compete with them. I'd be broke by now trying to do it. So we play a whole different game. And the whole different game is drive people to Two Guys. And every once in a while, we do pick up somebody who's never been to Two Guys. It's a very oddity when it happens because, again, our whole thing is to keep the customers we already have. But when it happens, they get to know us, like us, and trust us. And the next thing you know, we hear them say, someday I got to get up there and see the stores. So they're mail order customers, but they want someday to actually come to the store because they got to know us. And that's the whole idea. So it's a completely backwards way of doing successful online. But I think for the people we're talking to, the brick and mortars of the PCA, we can't compete with those other guys. We shouldn't even try to. If you're going to do it, let me tell you, I got a whole bunch of things that you need to know why you don't want to do it. I made a list of, when you asked me to do this, I said, I can talk somebody out of it. Like when somebody says, should I get into the cigar business? And I say, can I talk you out of this? And I'll try to talk them out. If they make it all the way through, then you should do it. Yeah. But you should know why you shouldn't do it. If you're playing the game the way Harris does, the way we do, and be an extension of our store itself, it's a whole different game. And it is valuable at that time because we did change our hours since we've been shut down. There was no sense in staying late. So how do I do that? We alert the people through the website. We have a sign outside the door because you can't come in, and it says curbside service only. Find the menu at twoguyscigars.com. That is now our menu for the people outside our parking lot. So they're looking at the menu on their phone.
That's brilliant. I love it.
So all these things that, who knew this, and it doesn't matter. I've been doing this for 35 years. We all started 30 days ago, 40 days ago.
Exactly.
Of what the game changed. And as we saw that people said, well, I can't come in. No, you can't come in. What do you have? We have a menu. It's our website. And then, okay, let's make some little tricks, move some things around or something like that to make it easier for them to end up seeing it. And then the menu got easier because actually another thing I was saying to people is the guy doesn't get to see the menu because they can't see what you have online if you don't have an online presence. So, when I go to a restaurant, I'm ordering off the menu whatever food that I want. And typically they don't put the soft drinks on the menu. And I don't know what to order, so I say, give me a Coke. And it's the automatic thing. I don't want a Coke. I'd rather a root beer, a lime Ricky, a ginger ale. There's a lot of things I'd rather choose, but I can't see what they are, so I go to give me a Coke. We as brick and mortar retailers don't want to be selling Coke because everybody sells Coke, and they have more Coke, and they sell it for cheaper than we do, and all kinds of reasons why we should be selling Coke. So we need to have a menu. And that's another reason why you need a website, is to be able to show your menu off, your new things, your uniqueness to them, right? We want to be different.
That's I love the part that it's a menu. And for anybody that's just tuning in, and particularly anybody who may have ears that's in the government, we're talking about Coca-Cola, not the other kind of Coke that we're selling. Just in case, just want to clarify that real quick.
Okay, good.
I love that aspect of the menu, and it goes back a little bit to Harris. And again, kind of what retailers are really selling, right? You're not selling a commodity. You're selling something entirely different with the cigar. And part of your menu is what is the experience at Two Guys or Birmingham Cigars More, Route 7? What is it that you're getting? And I've actually heard where we have a retailer saying, look, I got customers that they don't even necessarily know the brand. They just know that if I walk in the humidor, I take a left, it's the third box down, right? And so it's to your point there is that the website then becomes an extension of that almost, right? It's almost like directions, Google directions through your humidor to get to the cigars that you normally could just blindly walk into, as if, you were just on autopilot, right?
It is so amazing to me that we're going out to the car, and here's a guy that's been buying cigars from us for a long period of time. He does not know what he smokes. 20 hours a week, he's holding the band right there next to his mouth. He puts it in his mouth, and he's been smoking the same thing for years. And he says, I don't know, it's a blue band. And I said, I'll look you up. Again, we have their information on there.
Yeah.
We do a rewards program, and we end up looking to see what it is. And it's not a blue band, it's a green band. And I take it out just to make sure. He says, is this what? Yeah, that's it. It's not blue, it's green. And how do you not know what you smoke? The game changed in the past 30 days because he came in, he took a right, there it was all the time, and doesn't even think twice of what he smokes.
Yeah. I love it. Your website is your menu for your store. That's I think that's a brilliant little twist there. That I think that approach I think really kind of changes the game. Alec, I want to ask you this, and the main reason why I wanted to reach out to you for coming in is because you really, to use an overused phrase that they throw around in business school too much, but you pivoted really, really quickly here. You recognized that, okay, we got to get some kind of shop up. And so you had to attack this quickly. So talk to me about your experience when you recognized that this was coming and what you decided to do at Route 7 in order to help your business.
Yeah, so this was never a plan for us to do this year. We just opened our second store, and this was kind of our plan like next year. So when COVID happened, we really had to, like you said, we had to pivot immediately. And so we immediately got our cart up, thankfully, because I've been in the industry a while, I knew the right person to call. I called. One thing that I think a lot of retailers don't realize is even like the minutia of the back end, right? Who's going to process your credit cards? I've talked to 3 or 4 retailers this week that have launched a site, and they've told me, oh, I'm just linking it in with my current POS system through an app. And they don't realize that that's going to shut down their credit card processing for their card, present in the long term. They don't even realize it, So thankfully, we were able to reach out to Paul Krasson, who does a lot of back end stuff for a lot of companies, and then my web developer was able to get our site up. And kind of like what Dave said, I know I'm not going to be the guy that people come to, or maybe I am, but I doubt it. I'm not going to be the one that people are going to come to for their very discounted or we're not going to compete with the online guys to any extent. But one thing that we noticed in our stores is people missed coming in and having our guidance. People missed coming in and saying, make something for me this week to smoke that I'm really, really going to enjoy. And that's kind of been our focus is whatever our weekly pack is, or if we have, we did a foundation pack or, multi-brand packs and stuff like that. That's really where our focus has been, because to upload 10,000 different SKUs overnight is just, it's a lot. So we were able to get ours up in less than 24 hours and start throwing as much content as there as we possibly could. Paul was able to streamline us getting approved for our card not present in 36 hours. So we got up fairly quickly.
Yeah, that's a really interesting insight there, because you would think, oh, let's just link it through with the same system, but your POS system, it's not necessarily going to be the same as your online system, and there's additional compliance that you have to go through for then selling these products online. And so that's something I think that's very key for anybody who is considering opening up an online shop to augment your store. Different issues and different compliance issues. So if you have questions, please reach out to PCA and we can help you with that and or get you in touch with the right people for that. One of the interesting things that you talked about there last week, I doubt any of you really saw this, but I gave Phil Ledbetter a little bit of a ribbing when he was on with Pete Johnson, and I showed a clip from City Slickers where it's the Two Guys ice cream, not Two Guys cigars, right, but the Two Guys where they're talking about the ice cream and how we can pick out the best flavor of ice cream to follow any meal. And I said, Phil, you're my berry, because Phil's always been the type, he's been really good at picking out cigars for me, and he was the one that first introduced me to Tatuaje. And so what Alex just said there, as consumers, we get so used to following your guidance. You guys, you smoke these, you guys understand a lot more about the products, and you really good guides in that frame. What how have you been able to use the website in ways, and Dave, I think you touched on this a little bit, but how have you been able to use the site to further that along with your customers if they can't come into your store? How have you been able to continue to guide them in their purchases and sort of be that cigar expert and that cigar guide for them?
So some of the things, those that are old enough to remember going into video shops and getting video cassette tapes, has been recommended, right? So Bob recommends this movie, and you end up knowing what Bob recommends, and you like what Bob type of movie Bob likes, so therefore he recommends this, and you say, I'll give it a try. Bob likes it. We've done that where we show these people that are on the website. Again, these are people that know us, like us, trust us, that used to be our customer. And with the odd ones that don't, they get to know it also. It happens in the store. Again, we take what happens in our store. We are brick and mortar retailers. We take what we do in the store and we try to, how can we end up pulling the same thing off online? So here's, I see it happen all the time that I'm standing there and somebody walks in and I say, hey, how you doing? Welcome aboard. And start talking to the guy and he says, no, I want to talk to Jim over there. And I'm like, okay, like I've been around for 35 years. I own the friggin' place. He wants to talk to Jim. But Jim smokes the cigar he does. He likes fuller bodied cigars. They talk the stuff they like or whatever, and he goes to Jim. The funny thing that ends up happening, like we're talking about, the guy pulls up to the car and Jim ain't here. And the guy pulls up and I said, hey, what do you smoke? He goes, where's the other guy? And I said, he's not here. And he goes, well, I don't know what I smoke. Jim's not here. Holy God, I don't know what to do. But trying to do some of those things, especially if you do it good. Whatever you're doing really good in your store that you feel like it's your superpower, that your store, you're doing with there, try to figure out the way to implement that same thing, because it will work if you can get that on there somehow. And, I say a lot of things. I'm not the technical guy at all. I'm the guy that comes up with ideas, and then I say to the guy, hey, can we end up doing this? And he says, the answer is yes to anything you're saying. It's how much do you want to spend to make it
exactly. Yeah.
So that's where the problem arises.
So on that note, so that brings up a really interesting question. And so we could kind of talk a little bit about this, but the cost aspect, right? I know that everybody is looking right now, where is it that we can save money at the same time and or cut costs at the same time, continue to run a business, continue to promote our products, and continue to promote our store. What are some cost savings or interesting ways you've been able to leverage technology right now to help that happen? I'll ask Alec first, but I would like to go around here to everybody and ask that question. There was one in particular, Alec, that you talked about being able to leverage your POS in a way that you hadn't thought about before that I think might be helpful for some folks. So talk about that and any other things you've kind of been able to use as well.
Yeah, so one thing that we're actually still working on, and I think we might have figured it out last night. I think I was telling you last week we were really working hard to try to figure out how to integrate it. Is finding a back-end platform that you can use to import, obviously, something as basic as all of your inventory. And so one of the systems that I use has an app that's going to allow us to import everything that's in our current store, and then as well integrate all of our inventory, which seems like that would be an easy thing to do, but from a lot of retailers that I've talked to that have been trying to build their website, it is not an easy thing to do unless you want to pay a ton of money. Right. So that's kind of something that we've been working on, is the integration on the back end of our POS system. So that way, pricing, inventory quantities, because one of my biggest worries is selling out of something on the web and then emailing somebody saying, hey, we don't have this. That's not a scenario I want to be in, because that's where we drop the ball, and we don't do that. So that's been one of the biggest issues. As far as cost cutting goes, just the content alone, sitting there and entering and all of that, I think I've got 16 hours in already on our website, and that's just scraping the surface, really. Yeah. So find the app that works for your current POS system, if there's one through the cloud that you can integrate it all.
Yeah. Talk about what you found. I don't know if you want to or not, but we talked about this when I was at your shop last week, how you were able to kind of invoice a customer when they called in. Because I think phone calling is starting to become a little bit more of a thing now, calling the shop and, hey, do you have this? Do you have this? And again, wanting that interaction with you all. Talk about how you use your POS with your customers then for calling orders.
Yeah, so we through our card not present processor, there's an invoicing feature that, it's something silly and stupid, but we found it last week, and One of our biggest worries, like I said, is that our credit card merchant service is going to shut us off because we're running so many curbsides that they're like, hey, these aren't card present. So eventually they're just going to shut us down. So what we did is we started invoicing, right? So if somebody calls in and we're building a custom order for them through our card not present processor, we can basically just shoot them an invoice. It comes through as a text message. They can click to pay right there from the text message. And I've asked everybody that's used it what their feedback was, and everybody really loved it. So it's made curbside really, really easy. And then the other thing is through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those integrations that we're using for our advertising, if we come out with something, somebody says that they want it, boom, we invoice them, and then they can pay it, and we get paid within 30 seconds of them doing it. So it's been really, really nice.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Harris, how about you? What have you seen, or what have you been able to implement in terms of leveraging technology?
I think for us, the biggest thing, a few years ago, we changed platforms for our POS system. And what we really looked for was one that had the ability to have the website piece built into it so that inventory is in one place. If we update it in one area, it goes out to everywhere. You update pictures. It saves a lot of time and duplicate efforts. And just really streamlines the process. So you're not doing the same work over and over again. And I know several platforms out there have that, where you kind of have all the different pieces already tied together. And so I think that has made a huge difference for me. Since I kind of do a little bit of everything, and I take care of a lot of our web presence.
So Harris and Dave, do you guys both maintain, to probably as close as you can, exact what you have in your humidors is what's on your website, or is there a difference in your philosophy there? And so Dave, you talked about the menu component of it, but sometimes it can vary if you're going in and ordering, and there's a little bit of a difference of the menu versus what's available and what's not. So do you have basically, here is the static menu of what we usually carry, and when you come in, here's what's available in the humidor, or do you try to keep that real time?
Well, like Harris, I have multiple locations. Myself, I have 3 locations. So the mail order operation is operating out of one of the stores. So the inventory that's online is at that headquarters. That's it. So whatever's there is there. And as Alex said, it is so important. That's how you're going to lose customers, that they think they bought the product. They went to sleep after and they said, okay, I got it, it's over. And then they never got it because you didn't have it. I know as a consumer myself, and I'm a brick and mortar guy. I try to buy everything brick and mortar, anything. But if I end up buying something brick and mortar and online because I have to, and that product, days go by and then they tell me happen to be something that goes on the back of my desk over here that I needed, and I thought I bought it, and a week later they let me know it's coming in June. Oh my God, can I cancel? I should have bought it from somebody else. I'm so bullshit. And that there goes to the lifetime value of a customer. You don't want to actually piss them off. You're trying to grow your business with this, not actually hurt it. But you'll kill existing customers if they think they bought something and they didn't. The days of, I'll get it in next Thursday are over. If they see it online, it's a button there. You say you have it, and then as far as they're concerned, they got it. And then the next day you're telling them you didn't, and they try to get it somewhere else at that point, and it's gone. Especially a limited release, something that just came out, everybody's got it and it's there and gone. So real time inventory when it comes to that particular spot is so important. The unfortunate thing that happened to us, and I'm telling you, we're using our menu at a different store. It's the same online menu. Here's the menu of Two Guys Smoke Shop. The guy looks at it and says, we have it here. And we didn't, because it's not the online company here. Now you're in the store. And at that point would say, I'll get it for you tomorrow because I know it's there and I'll bring it here, or you can drive there. Or somebody calls our store to say they're coming to get this cigar here, and they pull up and they already paid for it too. And we don't have their order at all because they called a different store. And I say, all right, we do have it. Let me call this. You can have it here. I'm going to cancel your thing and rebill you because we got to keep inventory straight. Inventory is crucial. That is the whole thing when it comes to this. There's no messing around. If you're going to do this, you need a POS system that can deal with your inventory in real time. 24 hours is too late because the product is come and gone and it's over. Unless you have massive quantities, the key is going to be to go through. It goes into your POS system. It comes out when somebody buys it. Even though it's still sitting right there, it's in your store. Somebody made that purchase. Now you got to get it out of your store because the guy standing at the register, oh, I'll take that. All right. Somebody's not going to get it, right? The guys there. So many bad things can happen when it comes to that. So if you're going to get in, I mean, you need a serious back end to that, because I was there on the early days doing it wrong and pissing people off. Nowadays, nobody's going to put up with that.
Yeah. Consumer behavior. Well, we've all learned, right? And unfortunately, in the age of Amazon, that it's one click, and within however many hours or days, I bought my mom a Mother's Day gift. It was supposed to be delivered tomorrow. We had it all set up with my family to distract her so we could deliver it. And lo and behold, I get a thing today where it was delivered and sitting on her front doorstep. So, it's just even quicker and quicker these days, right? If you all feel comfortable, just what POS systems do you use, and what success in terms of varying degrees that you have for being able to manage the inventory, especially as it means to online?
So we use Lightspeed Retail, and then Lightspeed Ecom is the website part, and then they have a Lightspeed Loyalty. They kind of all different parts and pieces. You can do all of it or part of it, and we're like Dave. You tie that inventory to your store that you want to treat as the warehouse, and then the inventory is live to that location.
So it's 100. Basically, it takes care of 360 degrees of everything you need from that POS, right? Is what you're saying for Lightspeed?
Right.
Dave, do you know what POS you guys use?
I do. It's called RMS, Retail Management Systems. It originally came out, I think, in 1997 as Quick Sell 2000, and then later was sold off, and it worked very good. The problem is this is the last year. They're not going to support it any longer.
Uh-oh.
So we've been working for probably a year and a half trying to get some company that can do it. And there's something called Retail Hero that we've been spending the year and a half with, that said, okay, we're going to be the follow-up to this. We're the guys that originally put that together, and we're going to be able to do it. But over the years, all the plugins, they call them, and changes that happen, they can't do this, they can't do that, they can't do that. So there was 3 or 4 times that we were going to press the button and switch over. It never happened, and here we are. Another 6 months go by, and I'm fed up, to be honest with you. If those that remember the horror show that happened with Cigars International, where they pressed a button one year and maybe we got a lot of our business back in brick and mortar while that went on. They crashed and burned. The same thing happened over the years with a lot of big online guys, that they end up pressing the button and saying, okay, we're all set. And they're not all set. And we're talking about millions and millions of dollars lost when they end up doing that. So we test and test and test before we did it, and we've been at the gate ready to click that button and change it up 3 or 4 times now and never did it. So I'm listening to you, Harris, as you're saying it, because we're looking for a new best buddy.
I've been telling you for a long time, they do a good job.
Good.
Problems. It has its own set of problems, but overall, it's a good one.
Yeah. Alec, what about you?
So we use Shopventory, which is the full cloud POS system, and then our plugin is into our website is for Equid. So Equid is our cart, and then we use an app that plugs into Shopventory, which has its own headaches. So I don't know if I'd recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, there's not a perfect one. There's not a perfect one out there.
Yeah, it's same thing with what they call association management systems, right? For all your back end, everybody complains about theirs, and so it's kind of one of those things to where what's going to cause you the least problems is usually what it comes down to. So yeah, we totally understand. I do want, before we kind of go into some of the more technology questions, there's a question that I do want to ask from our good friend Skip Martin. He says, "How does Dave Garofalo's hair look so great with all the barbershops closed?"
Here we go. I got my own hair.
You're gonna open up a barbershop next.
No, I don't know about that, but
Yeah. I'm not sure what he means. He says, I mean, speaking of technology, Skip, maybe you can follow that up with something, or if you really want to jump in, we can make it happen. But so, Aaron, you do all of our web and all of our social. In terms of looking at potential solutions, if somebody was looking and saying, okay, I've got sort of a basic website right now, or I want to launch a website, what are some of the tools, and we can kind of talk about this, and I'd like to get some of your all's input on this too, but some of the tools that you've known over the years, you built a lot of websites. What are some of the top 2 or 3 tools that you would say go to right now if you're looking to build a website, and how to use that?
I think I think it's different if you're starting from scratch with no website versus having a very basic one and wanting to improve it. I think they're kind of different things. The good thing is that, especially since COVID, there have been a lot more free online courses and classes added for anything really. But I would probably recommend checking some of those out if you're not familiar with websites. There actually is online, there's Code Academy, which really gets into a lot of deep coding, web development, all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to go that deep into it, but it's a great tool. It's free. There's also stuff on Coursera, on edX, Skillshare, Udemy. Like, there's so many free courses online. So I would highly recommend that. And then also there are a lot of just free website platforms and builders. So there's Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, WordPress. Constant Contact has a new website builder, and then there are tons of others. All of them, I know Weebly and Wix tend to be super simple for someone who doesn't do coding at all. Squarespace is the same thing. And I think really if you don't have any kind of website at all, I think just getting a basic splash page up, so that way, like, even if it's just one page, there's your basic info, what you're doing during COVID-19, how people can get in touch with you, how they can get your cigars, just something. And then also, if you've got the website up, you want to make sure you're linking it to all of your social media channels. If you want to grow your email list, you want to be able to have that linked to it. Anything that you're doing online should all come full circle and all be accessible from that website. If you've already got a website, also you can, do little things each day, like looking at keywords and working on your SEO. If there's like a particular thing you really want customers a certain page to go to, then focus on that particular page and improving that page for a day. Like, you don't have to do everything overnight. You can set small goals and work towards that. And that way you can also check it off the list and you feel that sense of accomplishment. I know, general.
Yeah. One thing too, is just, even if you're getting started and you just happen to go buy a URL, or you have purchased a URL, whether it's GoDaddy, Register.com, any of these others, they oftentimes have easy plugins that you can just get a template and just start running with it, even just to get up online. One of the main things is that right now, consumer behavior obviously is geared much more towards the online retail component of it, but they're at least going to try to find a way to contact you online before anything else. And so just even something as simple as that, or looking into making sure your store's registered Google, things like that, in order for that to pop up with somebody searching. So I just want to make sure, do you really cut your hair with the Flowbee last week? Is that what they're mentioning of? You still have the Flowbee?
I've been doing it for 30 years.
That's fantastic.
Not last week. I've been doing it for 30 years. That's it. Not bad, right?
No, it looks fantastic. I mean, look, I don't really care that I'm bald, and so that's the thing, is like, my Flowbee is a razor.
There we go.
I've never really cared about having hair until just now. The fact that you've been using it, I wish I had hair now in order to use it.
Beard.
I was going to say, do you have a Flowbee for the beard? I will not shave this until, that would be great. Maybe
you could put that on social media. You could show how you do it.
I did. I did.
That's what Cigar was talking about, was him doing
That's how we know. I let the cat out of the bag this week, and I showed everybody, and they think it's all for COVID-19. And I said, I've been doing it for 30 years.
You gave away your secret. You should have said, yes, I'm sacrificing for COVID-19.
There we go.
Yeah. You could have done a Flowbee fundraiser through Two Guys Smoke Shop.
There we go. I couldn't have people come in, though. They'd have to do it themselves. But would that be go clean it and then they cut their own hair?
Right.
Well,
Well, you
it's
can
still
stay
something
6
here.
feet apart. Yeah.
Yeah, we got time to do something.
I would tell you to do it outside, but considering the snowpocalypse is going to come
No
in New Hampshire
kidding.
in May. Well, I say, hold on. The benefit of that, though, is that at least the snow should probably kill the murder hornets for you. So you might not have to think
Right.
about that.
We got
part.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of that, yeah. So Aaron had mentioned something here, and I just kind of want to talk a little bit about this too. Another really, I think, easy way, pretty straightforward to start doing more online stuff and to be a little bit more visible is social media. And it can be a little daunting if you're just kind of getting started, and it's not even a generational thing. Look, Phil Ledbetter, he ain't that old. But he was just saying when this all happened, he thought, "Oh shit, we need to get online. We need some things to do here." And so he started to ramp up some of his social and some of his website stuff too. And so Aaron mentioned tying that to it. What are some of the simple things you guys do in terms of social media that help kind of promote that and help, whether it's showcasing events, whether do you pick certain cigars or brands that you're going to do something with in a certain week? Or I mean, Dave, you're a master at content, right? You've been doing that for a very long time. But are other smaller things that for your whether Dave, Harris, and Alec, small things that retailers who are just starting out and putting their foot out there to get going and help? What are some of those small steps you think that they should be taking right now when it comes to social media, and what or all platforms that they should be considering?
I know we seem to have the best response from Instagram. I don't know why that is, but I think just the videos on Instagram, quick, easy videos are some of the best things that get the most views. I always get a lot of comments from customers in the stores that, "Oh, I saw this on there, thought it was interesting." And also you can tie some of those other platforms, in where if you post, online, it goes out to all of them. But I'm a big fan of Instagram.
I did my first Facebook Live ever during this. I didn't even know how to do it, and I was doing it backwards because I had one of those selfie sticks and doing the first one, and then the next day I did it and had somebody hold the camera. They were holding the camera over the microphone, so that was the second one, terrible, and then I improved it as I went on. But I'll tell you, not only good reaction that I got from it. We actually sold the items that I was selling on the thing.
Brilliant.
That, I showed the ashtray that goes inside your car with the little top that folds off, Cigar. I don't know what it's called, the silver one, and said, there's people that weren't smoking in the car before, but the lounge isn't open. So we probably sold maybe 24 of those that day. How could that possibly happen? I don't sell 24 in a year. We sold 24 that day, and it had to be that. And the odor eliminator thing, you pop the top off and you put that on because that's what I was talking about as I was standing there and saying we were closed, given the information of the hours that you could come for the pickup and how it worked, but incorporating with, we have this and this and this, just to see what ended up happening. And we sold it, those things sold, and there's no other way that it did it. So I know it actually worked. How many clicks you get is one thing, but how many you turn into sales is the other thing, right? Yeah. So, the conversion rate I thought was astronomical on Facebook Live. So I maybe did it 5 or 6 days in a row until everybody starts yelling at me and say, overexposure, stop this. Okay, stop it. So I did one here and there, but they were... Overexposure is what's happening on these Zoom calls that I see everybody doing, and I've been on a lot of them and all this stuff there. The interesting thing, people talk about, the new normal of what's going to change. This might be a big thing. This may not change. This may be something, because I love it. There's content there for me at all times. I love it. And I want to see that this ends up staying, this type of conversation that happens. And it was a bad thing that happened, but maybe we see something like this comes out of it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt. I just don't want to forget this point. And considering I am old and I will forget. But one of the things I think that is a brilliant nugget right there, though, is that your content matched how consumer behavior is changing right now amidst all of this, right? People are smoking in cars or smoking in areas they potentially wouldn't have otherwise, or they're looking for a shopping experience different than what the dichotomy was before. Either go out to a store or just simply click on an Amazon style thing, right? And so that's a brilliant nugget. I don't think it, should be missed. There is that where are consumer habits going right now, and how is it that we can utilize Facebook Live? It's an easy, free technology for you to use. And how can you utilize that in order to meet your customers where their needs are right now? What gaps are they seeing right now on their new learned behaviors versus what you can fulfill for them? So I think that that's something that is absolutely brilliant, and why you're the best in the game. Sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
I think David made a really good point when you're talking about bringing the sales and the shopping aspect into it, because right now people are at home now all the time. They're also shopping all the time. And so when they're also using social media all the time. So you connect that social media with the shopping. People are starting to, I do it all the time. I'm searching through Instagram for things I want to buy because there are people that I follow that I trust their opinions.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing. So it's really strong. And it's great to hear that was proven literally that works. So I say just keep doing it as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that again, for retailers, I want to underscore this is that I we'll go and search, and I've been browsing a lot of different cigars online and a number of different websites. But for me, what I really do miss is I really do miss talking to somebody that clearly knows what they're talking about. And here, try this one or try that one. Alec texted me that they got this particular cigar that I tried at his shop once before. They got it back in. I missed that. And so being able to, I think a lot of cigar smokers, they look to their retail store guys, just as you were saying earlier, David. What is Bob, or what is Jim, or what is Dave or Harris? What are you guys smoking? What are you enjoying? Talk to me about. I would like to try some new things. People are probably smoking a lot more cigars these days at their home, and they're trying to figure that out more. And I don't think that can be missed either. Is that there's a real opportunity for you to carry forward with your expertise in this industry as that cigar. What am I trying, like safari leader or journeyman, whatever else, and so, yeah, I think that's a very important part of it. Alec, you were mentioning a little bit earlier about your Instagram. Is that the place you've seen the most success on your social in terms of the interactions and conversions, or is it kind of all between different platforms?
So we do a good bit on Instagram, but it's kind of even between Instagram and Facebook, and it kind of follows also our customers' age brackets. Older age brackets we're finding are a lot more responsive on Facebook. Younger age brackets are a lot more responsible on Instagram. But then we also tie that all into our website too. So if you go to our website, you can always see like whatever our Instagram or our Facebook posts are, because it all links together. Like Dave said, every single time that we make a post, I can watch the sales in our POS backend, and I can see that it drives sales. So whatever we're smoking, we instantly start selling. So we're fairly consistent with that. Consistency, I think, is the key to kind of being on social media, is making sure that you're posting every single day, multiple times a day. I see a lot of retailers, even when I was on the rep side, I would see a lot of retailers, they'd throw one post up for an event, or they'd throw one post up about a new cigar, and then they leave it alone for like 2-3 months. And so being active and staying in your customer space is never more important than it is today.
Absolutely. I just want to show this real quick for mostly because, Carney, I would really like to underscore the fact that I still have yet to taste any of your cooking. And so if you continue to show all of that delicious food that you're cooking, you got to start sharing that somehow. But good point here. Just to get to until, my personal life, whatever, but my wife is a big fan of Shopify, and she used to do development on Shopify for different small businesses. And very much Shopify is very good for that, if that's something that you want to consider. And again, shipping, want to caution to Dave Garofalo's point that he made before we set this up, is that's a big undertaking, especially when you're shipping out of state, and there's all kinds of other things that you have to consider there with OTP and all of that. Again, our focus here is your local area, not taking on any additional tasks as far as that's concerned, because that's getting into a realm that, a lot of people don't necessarily want to invest in undertaking at this point, especially when you consider against whom you're going to be competing. But Shopify is a great solution. Go ahead.
Shopify is not able to be used for tobacco.
Shopify is not able to be used for tobacco.
Correct.
Ah.
There we go.
If product is,
Correct.
at least that's what it says in their terms and conditions.
I did not know that. Look at that. Good job.
There are a lot of those platforms that exclude alcohol and tobacco. You have to be careful.
Really? Does
Yeah.
anybody know if Squarespace will allow tobacco?
Square is anti-tobacco for card not present.
Right. They don't like the card not present. A lot of those you have to get special approval for tobacco not present. I've had good luck with PayPal, but they maybe jump through a lot of hoops. You have to get special approval through PayPal for a lot of these platforms.
The only
anybody
downside
needs-
to PayPal is there's no customer service whatsoever. So if something does
Right.
go wrong, because I personally had an issue recently, and literally there's like, you're on your own kind of thing. It's the only downside. But if, I don't know.
They're one of the few that'll approve card not present tobacco, though.
Well,
Oh, interesting. Someone did
Okay.
ask a question earlier about that aspect, and this is kind of the last part that I want to take care of here is when considering online sales, when card not present in, and then verifying 21 and older, how that all works and how you all make that function so that you're completely compliant with making sure that nobody under 21 is purchasing and IDing and everything else, and how you make that work for your online sales.
So for us, we
Don't
just
everybody
when we
jump
ship
on
it out.
Go ahead, Alex.
Go ahead, Dave.
Veritat is the company we go through, and it's $100 a month plus 38 cents per transaction. So somebody goes on there and clicks the thing, that $100 a month is going to be paid no matter what, and 38 cents, and they check to see if it does it, and then the credit card ends up going through. So all the work is done and all the responsibility is on their side. If we end up receiving the order, then we know that ended up going through, and it's good. You talk about what costs end up happening when you do online. Holy God. I mean, as I prepared for this, and I tell you, I've been doing this for years and stuff, but I just wanted to make sure I had the information right. There's lots of costs associated with this stuff that somebody doesn't realize. So your margins are going to really be important. For somebody to send a package to somebody, it's going to cost you $5 or $6 for the package. Now you're talking the cardboard box, the peanuts, the stuff that goes in at the time that gets put on it, and then it is signature required on top of it, which is another $6. So you got about $16 on every package. So you got a guy ordering 5 or 6 cigars. Your cost, brick and mortar retailer that you're putting this online presence is $16 per package, plus some fixed costs of $100 here and all the stuff that goes along with it. It's a big boys game to get into this stuff. If you want to really get into that part of it, as opposed to, okay, we got a website. It really doesn't sell products, but it's the menu board of what it is. Whole different game, easy game at that point. But the other stuff, there's so much to it.
No, I think that that's I think probably the main point here is that at a time when obviously your revenues are down, you're having to close your stores or limit it, and everything else that's going on with this, there are some low-cost solutions to help people find you and still place orders and come get the orders without you having to undertake and invest in that amount of money, especially when you probably don't have any money lying around to invest into something like that. And that causes a lot of additional headaches too.
Alan mentions on the social media, you got to go up there and you got to post a couple of times a day. Well, the same will go for your website. These people that have websites from the 90s, 2000s, and they don't make any changes to them. They also don't make any sales. These things have to be updated and changed all the time. New products being added. Hey, what's new today? And there's some things that automatically will generate through your products that you put in there and stuff, but it just can't be the day on the top of it. You got to change pictures. You got to change stuff. You got to be on top of it all the time so it looks fresh, right?
Yeah, because if your page is stagnant, that's just going to drop it down on the algorithms, and search isn't going to find it anyway.
Well, I like what Aaron suggested too. Is really the easiest thing to do is throw up a one-page website that has your store phone number and your email address on it. I've been amazed at how many phone orders we've gotten, way more than normal. And then just people emailing, asking questions, for suggestions. And then, that we follow up with a phone call and take an order that way. That's the easiest, most low-cost way to, get going, I think.
and actually adding on to that, sorry, just really quick, adding on to that, you can also, I don't know if you've used it yet, but you were talking about using Instagram a lot. So one of the cool things is like if you do Instagram stories, you can pose a question. So you could say, what do you most want to smoke this month? Or you could say, ask me anything, and have them ask you questions. And for like 24 hours, people will start just responding instantly. And then you've got hundreds of questions. You can then repost them all later, which gives you free content. But you can also get to know your audience better, and maybe they actually want to know special things. So I would recommend, like, if you have a second, just try out that tool. It's very cool, and it's another way to keep communicating with your audience.
Aaron, you mentioned search engine SEO, search engine optimization, which very tough. If you want to be found, the word cigar, somebody's going to Google cigar, and you think you're going to pop up, and you're not. But having a website and your Bob's Cigar Shop, and somebody Googles Bob's Cigar Shop is going to show up on top of Google if you have a website. And on that website, that one pager is all your information of everything that you want on there, along with events and promotions that are coming up and all that. Fantastic. Because that's what automatically people do. They're saying, oh, let me see Bob's Smoke Shop or cigar shops near me. And Bob is going to show up too.
Yes.
So that'll be the big thing. And if you're sitting there and you don't even have that one pager up there, that's a real cheap thing that can be put together so for nothing. What a shame. And here is an opportunity now. Something bad happened, and we're looking at, oh, the sky fell. I got to do something about it. You should have done it a long time ago, but that's okay. You didn't do it. Going forward, what have we learned here for the next time something ends up happening?
Right.
Brick and mortar retailers have to do something today, because something else is going to happen someday. And maybe we come out of this better. We learned something and we improved our business at that point from the problems that we saw, and we can get better at this point. So it's an opportunity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And even beyond that, you can take, so you were talking about like with the SEO and Google, then once you've got that, then you ask the customers that you know really support you to submit a Google review. So that way, not only is it showing up when other people are typing around, then they start seeing all these great reviews of your business, and it's just all full circle then.
Yeah, Rob, this is a great tip right here, making sure your Google My Business page is up to date. That's a really important tip right there, actually. And just for any PCA retailer that's out there, look, if you want some guidance or some help in terms of this, you've never really done anything with websites, that's what we're here for. Please reach out to either Aaron or me. We will be happy to help you get through this, to make sure that, within the day, we will be able to help you get a web page up and get you going and get you started there. Now, in terms of the social media content, I know that people think, oh my God, posting every day, you're running a business, you're trying to get the PPP, you're trying to take care of employees, and you're building everything else that's involved. There are some tools that are out there. Now, they're not necessarily on the cheap end, but there are some that are more affordable than others. There's Hootsuite, there's Sprout Social. We have something that we offer here today for PCA called PowerPost, but it allows you to essentially take and put in a bunch of content for a week or however much, and you can schedule it, and it will automatically post to your social accounts for you. So if you have some downtime on a Sunday evening for 35, 45 minutes, you can start to get some of that content together and start to put that out and schedule it out ahead of time. And it allows you to get ahead of the game rather than to always have to, I got to think about it, and oh my God, I got to be clever now. I've got to be funny. I've got to be informative. Well, you can take some time to gather that information and be able to schedule it out through some of those resources too. So I think that's something that's important there. I don't know if you guys use any of those types of tools or not, or if you guys just kind of attack it on a, hit by hit basis.
Yeah, I just swing it. I just go.
You swing it. Sometimes that's best.
Sometimes it's not. Right?
Hey, you winged it with the
Balance
for the first time, and 30 years later, you're still looking, like Dapper Dan. So I think you're good to go. All right. Well, we're coming up on the hour. Again, my sincerest thank you guys for jumping on this afternoon. I think this has been really insightful. I've learned a lot. Carney mentioned some additional stuff about widgets you can do. So I'm going to look into that for Shopify. But there's a lot of great resources that are out there, and hopefully this provides somewhat of some guideposts for retailers that have questions about either starting or enhancing what their online presence is, especially now, as Dave pointed out, that this is, although this is unique, things are going to continue to come up to where we have to be able to adapt and be able to help people come and find the stores. Any parting words before I get into some of the stuff we've got on the docket for next week?
The show's still on?
Show's still on. We're still on. Yes.
Show's still on.
Show's still on. Yeah, next week we've got join us for our Monday show. We've got Corey Bappert. If Aaron, you can double check me on that. I'm just going from memory here. But Corey Bappert from Oliva Cigars is going to join us. That one is actually going to take place at noon. We're doing that to make sure we get it for his schedule. So that's going to be a 3 at noon instead of a 3 at 3. So that'll be an interesting conversation. And then look for your emails. We'll have the lineup ready for you next week. We're looking at a couple of other ones. We just want to make sure that we're getting the guests scheduled according to when they're available. And so, Alan Gold, thank you again for joining us as always. And Raphael, hey, it's good to see you. I haven't talked to you in a while. Hope you're doing well. I used to put my post ahead of time, but got burned when Truman defeated Dewey from the Breyer Report. That's a good comment to end on right there. So again, David, Harris, Alec, Aaron, thank you all so much for joining us. This was great, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your afternoon. And hopefully we'll get to see you guys all very soon when this is kind of all done and over with. So take care, be safe, and my best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.